She not only walked away with a nice tip, but a brand new perspective. And it's all thanks to two native New Mexicans. Nikki Burdine has the story.
I could tell they were from the South or something because their attire, their hats and things. And I was like, oh, you're not from the city.
In Butler, Pennsylvania, after narrowly escaping an assassination attempt, former President Donald Trump returned to rally with even greater determination. Meanwhile, for Jenna, a waitress at Rachel's Roadhouse, it was another busy night of taking orders. And it was, until a man in a red cap came in with a group. After serving him, she found a note on his check, a message that struck her heart, bringing tears to her eyes. What could this stranger have written that left Jenna so emotional? Join us as we unravel what happened that night between the Trump supporter and Jenna. The arrival of the Trump supporter. Rachel's Roadhouse is a small building with a big neon sign out front that buzzed faintly at night. Inside, vinyl booths and chrome tables filled the narrow space, and the walls were decorated with faded photographs of the town from decades past. The diner's regulars, a mix of old-timers, families, and truck drivers passing through, were as much a part of the decor as the worn counter stools. The diner had seen it all: proposals, breakups, job offers, family arguments. Jenna sometimes felt like she'd seen every emotion in the human spectrum pass through those doors. She had been a waitress at Rachel's Roadhouse for nearly 3 years now. It wasn't a job she'd ever pictured herself doing, but life had a funny way of surprising her. She had started waitressing to support herself through community college. But when her mom's health took a sudden turn, Jenna left school to help cover the medical bills. Her dreams of a degree and a career in social work were put on hold, replaced by long shifts and late nights. Jenna's shift started just like any other night, but she didn't know what was going to unfold that night. Busy, loud, and full of movement, the dinner rush was in full swing. She was moving from table to table, working orders, refilling drinks, and balancing trays with the practiced ease of a pro. She kept her thoughts focused on the work, letting the familiar routines distract her from her own troubles. Then, about halfway through her shift, Jenna noticed a new group walk in, a mix of middle-aged men in jeans and casual shirts. One of them, a tall man with a graying beard, wore a red baseball cap with a slogan MAGA, which stood for Make America Great Again. It was obvious they were returning from Trump's campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. Jenna had seen this slogan countless times before. She tried to push away her own feelings, to approach the table with the same professionalism she showed every customer. But the truth was, she couldn't help the unease that settled in her stomach. Over the past few years, that cap had become a symbol of division in the town, with neighbors and even families split by political beliefs. The slogan, Make America Great Again, MAGA, became widely recognized in U.S. politics during Donald Trump's 2016 presidential campaign. The phrase itself, however, has historical roots, echoing sentiments of past presidential campaigns, including Ronald Reagan's 1980 Let's Make America Great Again. Trump's adaptation of the slogan tapped into a sense of nostalgia, aiming to resonate with Americans who felt the country had drifted from its economic, political, or cultural ideals. MAGA, printed on hats, shirts, and banners, soon became a symbol of Trump's campaign and the values he promoted. Supporters interpreted the slogan as a call to strengthen the U.S. economy, boost domestic manufacturing, secure borders, and restore traditional values. It appealed to many who were concerned with issues such as job outsourcing, the influence of globalization, and immigration policies, which they felt threatened American economic interests and cultural identity. MAGA became more than a phrase. It encapsulated a political movement grounded in nationalism and a vision of returning America to a perceived former glory. Though the slogan has been divisive, with critics seeing it as exclusionary or regressive, particularly on matters of social justice and race relations. To them, Make America Great Again implied a longing for an era that was less inclusive and less progressive. Gina casually smiled and asked the men if he was returning from Trump's campaign rally, and they said yes. At a recent campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, Donald Trump revisited the location where an assassination attempt had recently occurred. Addressing a packed crowd, he spoke about the incident, describing it as a moment that tested his resilience and strengthened his commitment to his supporters and his vision for America. He praised Corey Comparatore, a local volunteer firefighter who lost his life trying to shield his family during the attempt, saying that Butler had become a symbol of courage and patriotism. Elon Musk made a rare appearance at this second rally, openly supporting Trump. Musk, who has become more vocal in his political commentary, donned a black MAGA hat and addressed the crowd, highlighting what he saw as a battle for American values and resilience. Musk emphasized his belief that Trump exemplified leadership under fire, contrasting him sharply with other political figures, including Vice President Kamala Harris, whom he criticized in recent social media posts for her policies and leadership style. Pennsylvania, with its industrial roots, has been a major point for Trump's message of revitalizing American manufacturing and energy production. He spoke passionately about securing jobs, reducing foreign dependency, and bolstering domestic industries, themes that resonate with many Pennsylvanians who feel that economic shifts and global competition have left them behind. The energy in the crowd was palpable, with chants and cheers punctuating his speech. He also touched on controversial topics like immigration and trade, stirring strong responses from his supporters. The rally was more than just a campaign stop. It was a gathering of people with shared convictions, a space where they felt seen and heard. Jenna asked the men what she could get for them, greeting them with her best customer service smile. She held her notepad and pen at the ready, prepared to take their orders quickly and keep her distance if needed. The men responded warmly, their voices friendly and full of energy as they asked for coffee, a round of burgers, and extra fries. They joked among themselves, tossing casual remarks back and forth, and Jenna noticed that they seemed genuinely relaxed, as if the diner was a place where they could just be themselves. As she walked away from their table to place the order, Jenna couldn't help but feel a bit torn. She had learned to be polite but distant, to keep her interactions brief when she sensed potential tension. It was safer that way, and it helped her get through shifts without taking on too much emotional weight. But the way they laughed, the way they included her in their banter, left her feeling slightly guilty about her assumptions. But as they continued talking, something about them reminded her of family gatherings, of her father and uncle sitting around the table, laughing over old stories. She caught herself smiling when one of the men cracked a joke about the oversized pie portions at Rachel's Roadhouse. Jenna was surprised by her own reaction, feeling a small, unexpected sense of warmth toward these strangers. It was rare for her to feel a connection with her customers, but something about their ease softened her defenses. As the evening wore on, she returned to their table several times, refilling coffee and bringing extra napkins. They thanked her each time, making friendly attempts to chat about the diner and the town, about the weather, and even asking about her night. Jenna kept her responses polite but short, nodding and smiling but avoiding anything beyond small talk. In her mind, she was just doing her job, keeping the boundaries clear. The men, in turn, seemed to notice her hard work and attentiveness. One of them, the man with the graying beard and red cap, commented, "You've got quite a hustle going on tonight. Don't think we've seen a waitress move so fast." Jenna chuckled, brushing off the compliment. "Oh, I've got my system down. Keeps me on my toes." They laughed, and for a moment she felt a little lighter. She was still cautious, but there was a part of her that was grateful for their friendliness. It wasn't often that she felt seen in her role as a waitress. More often than not, she was just part of the background, an unseen figure moving between tables. But tonight she felt a small connection, a thread of humanity that broke through the usual routine. Jenna listened, keeping her own feelings carefully in check. Her goal was simple: maintain professionalism, keep the boundaries clear. She nodded politely, letting them talk. Then, unexpectedly, the man mentioned that Elon Musk had made a surprise appearance at the rally. Jenna raised her eyebrows in surprise. Musk, the eccentric billionaire who had built electric cars and sent rockets into space, was someone she had admired for his innovation. Hearing he was openly supporting Trump took her by surprise. Musk had apparently praised Trump's resilience and vision, contrasting him with other leaders, including Kamala Harris, who he'd criticized on social media. The men's conversation drifted to topics Jenna was used to hearing from customers: jobs, industry, immigration, and a longing for simpler times. Butler, Pennsylvania, like so many towns in the region, was struggling. Jenna had seen businesses close, factories shut down, and families struggle to make ends meet. She understood the appeal of promises to revitalize American manufacturing and reduce reliance on foreign goods. But for her, the slogans weren't enough. They couldn't solve the issues she saw her community grappling with every day. Jenna's father had lost his job at a steel plant years ago, and while he eventually found work, the uncertainty had left scars on their family. As Jenna continued serving the group, she became more at ease with their casual friendliness, though she still kept her guard up. Years of working in the diner had taught her to expect anything, especially when politics entered the conversation. But tonight, the men kept things light, talking about everything from their fishing trip last summer to the classic cars they'd owned in their younger days. Each time Jenna approached their table, she listened to snippets of their stories. They'd bring her into the conversation every now and then. She found herself enjoying the exchanges, despite her initial reservations. Most people came in, ordered, ate, and left without paying her much attention. But this group, perhaps because they were all a bit older, seemed to value her efforts and respect her space at the same time. Jenna went about her rounds, refilling drinks, carrying trays, and balancing her time between tables as the diner hummed with activity. It was nearing closing time, and Jenna knew that soon she'd be cleaning up, resetting tables, and finally clocking out. The weight of her worries would be there waiting for her. But for the moment, she focused on her work and on keeping her spirits up. The men finished their meals and sat back in their seats, content and relaxed. Jenna approached with the check, her usual friendly smile in place, her expression polished from countless shifts. She set it down with a gentle clink and gave a polite nod, thanking them for their visit. The group responded with casual, grateful gestures and murmured acknowledgments. But then one of them, a man in a red cap, his gaze unexpectedly soft and sincere, looked up and met her eyes. His expression held a warmth she hadn't expected, an appreciation that felt oddly personal, and for a moment, it was as though he saw her beyond her role, as a person, not just the server bringing their meal. She gave a slight nod, her gratitude quiet but genuine, before stepping away. As she moved back toward the kitchen, the unexpected kindness lingered, leaving her feeling a little lighter. Then this happened. The note on the check. As Jenna began clearing their plates, she noticed how the men lingered, still chatting quietly and looking around the diner as if taking in every last detail. She had seen it before, how people from out of town sometimes seemed to savor the familiarity of places like Rachel's Roadhouse. Maybe it reminded them of their own small-town diners, or maybe, like Jenna, they found comfort in the nostalgia these places offered. Jenna was about to reach for the check when the man in the red cap waved her off with a gentle shake of his head. "Thank you for everything tonight," he said, his tone warm and sincere. Jenna nodded, feeling an unexpected tightness in her chest. She muttered a final goodbye and watched them as they walked out into the night. She returned to the table to clear it for the next day, expecting to find the usual small tip tucked under the check. But when she picked up the check, her heart skipped a beat. There was a generous tip, much more than she ever would have expected, and next to it, a handwritten note on a napkin. "Thank you for your kindness and for serving us so graciously. We're not here to argue or change your mind about anything, just wanted to let you know that we see you, Jenna. You matter, and we appreciate everything you do. Please accept this as a token of our gratitude." The words hit her like a wave, the kindness of strangers washing over her at once. She hadn't realized how much she had needed this small recognition, this reminder that her efforts mattered. Jenna held the note in her hand, reading it over and over as tears blurred her vision. At that moment, all the weight she'd been carrying felt just a bit lighter. Her co-worker, Marcy, noticed her wiping her eyes and came over. Her expression soft with concern asked Jenna everything was okay. Jenna managed a small smile through the tears that had surprised her, gently folding a note in her hands. Marcy glanced at the note, understanding immediately. She placed a hand on Jenna's shoulder, offering silent support. Jenna took a deep breath, her heart warmed by the unexpected kindness written in those few words. She slipped the note into her apron pocket, letting a quiet joy settle within her. She knew that when she returned home that night, she'd share the story with her mom, hoping the gesture would bring her the same warmth it had brought Jenna. But it wasn't just the tips or the kind words that mattered to Jenna. It was the reminder that her work, the late nights, the exhaustion, the The juggling of responsibilities was seen and valued. Her confidence grew, and she found herself more open to connecting with her customers, sharing little moments of kindness and warmth that she might have avoided before. The sense of isolation she'd often felt in her work began to fade, replaced by a new connection to the community she served. Maybe in the morning, she'd look at her job a little differently, not just as a way to get by, but as a place where unexpected connections could happen, where people could see each other's humanity in a single moment of grace. This man's little gesture went a long way. Sometimes those we least expect end up surprising us with a kindness we never saw coming. What would it mean to show a little kindness, even to someone we disagree with? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, follow, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click on the next video on your screen. You will enjoy it.